I love disc golf. I'm changing the name of this channel again to Midlife Disc Golf. I think it fits because I'm 41 years old now. The first time I ever played disc golf, I was 30 years old, and at 41, I just keep, everything keeps getting better in my game. So it's exciting to be still improving, and I don't see kind of my peak yet. A few years back, when I did some more videos on this channel, actually maybe a year and a half ago, I remember in a video that I said, I can't see ever winning an MA1 tournament. I was just wanting to win an MA2 tournament, and so I bring that up because now I can see myself winning an MA1 tournament. I haven't yet, obviously. I've only been playing MA1 Advanced since spring of last year, so or maybe even like April or May. I think it was May of last year was my first. I won an MA2 tournament, so just to give you guys an update, since we haven't talked much lately. I did win an MA2 tournament last spring, spring of 2025, at Watson Island Disc Golf Course here in Colorado, and so that was a big milestone, my first win ever, and then I went MA2 immediately after that. And the first tournament, I tied for last place, but I deserved it. That round was bad, or both of those rounds were bad in any division. So it was just I didn't play well that day. And then my next tournament, I ended up getting second to last, and it still wasn't horrible. I played okay. And then my third tournament, I actually was tied for the lead in the tournament after the first round. It was like a 970 rated round, or I think maybe 978. And so that was my best rated round ever. And I was tied for the lead, which was 5 down at Palisade Disc Golf Course here in Colorado. Second round was not good, so I ended up being middle of the pack, like 7th out of 15. 7th out of 15. So I went from last, second to last, and then middle of the pack. And so I had a couple other tournaments, and nothing too remarkable, but I did pretty well in MA1. And so anyway, so that's a quick recap of where I'm at. I've been playing MA1 since last year, and I've been consistently recently, I've added distance. I've been putting up new distance personal records, PRs. So now I'm playing MA1, and I didn't know if back then I thought I would probably never be able to win MA1. I just couldn't envision it based on how my game was. And now things have progressed enough that I can definitely see myself winning MA1 and MA1 tournaments sometime. That's not easy, but I can envision it happening. I'm good enough to do it. I just have to play well for more than one round in a row, basically. And so I'm really excited for the season for that. And I'm renaming this channel Midlife Disc Golf because, like I said, I'm 41 years old. I'm in midlife now, and there's a lot of players. It seems like so many players are around my age. And a lot of the friends that I play with are close to my age, and it's a great game to play, in your midlife and everything like that. So, so that's a quick recap, and I wanted to also add in a tidbit of basically Stoicism, and one of the main things from the Stoics is this this mantra that is Memento Mori, and I have this coin that I got to remind me of this. So I don't know if you can see there, Memento Mori. It's about the size of a silver dollar. On the back, might be able to read it, but on the back it says, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." So Memento Mori is Latin, and it means remember you will die. This is as far as I can tell, probably the most central um, idea or mantra in Stoicism, and it's just because basically it means live in the moment, be present, um, remember that you could die today, you could die tomorrow. So with that in mind, it kind of brings me back to um, just clarify life in a way. It brings me back into the present moment. So I can't say that, something that's really interesting about Memento Mori is I can't say that I actually understand it. What I mean by that is that whenever I see this coin, is that it reminds me of that, and then it's like, okay, that's right. But I almost feel like as human beings, maybe it's hard for us to actually, it's hard for us to understand death, right? We know it's going to happen, but it always feels like a fantasy in a way. So we have to remind ourselves and just really try harder to remember that it's going to happen, even to us, because it happens. It's like it happens to other people in our lives, and then we're like, oh yeah, that's right. It reminds us of that, but it's something that's really surreal. It's not tangible, and it does. It's kind of like getting older. Sometimes in your early 20s and whatever, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get older, and it's a sentence that you say, but it's not like you can really understand it. You really secretly have this feeling in the back of your mind, like, no, I'm going to be the only one that doesn't get older, right? Even though you're going to, and you have this weird thing in the back of your head that's like a fantasy that you're not, and it's just like everything else. Like that can happen to somebody else, whatever it is. Not me. It won't be me that happens to, but sometimes it is. And with death, it will definitely be you, and it will be me. Every single one of us. So it's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things is just Memento Mori because, and I have this coin. Get them on Amazon, and it's about the size of a silver dollar. But I keep it in my pocket pretty much whenever I'm wearing jeans. Which is almost every day, work day anyway. And whenever I, like reach in my pocket, get my keys, and there it is, and I see it, it brings me back to that. It reminds me of that. So I can't be reminded enough. I could be reminded, every minute of the day, and that would be great because I want to live in the present, live in the consequence of I will die, so then I remember to live. Because when you think about it and you go, yeah, I'm going to die too, it puts everything in a different perspective. Your problems, it puts them in a perspective. And sometimes it's like it immediately filters out these problems that are not that big of a deal. For example, you just shot 10 over at your local course that you normally shoot under, and you're like, holy cow, should I even be playing disc golf anymore? Well, if you think about it, I'm going to die, you go, it doesn't matter at all, and it reorients everything to what's important. And then you start to think, whenever I see it, I think of, okay, if I'm going to die, what's important today? Spending time with the people I love, lifting up the people I care about, doing things that improve their lives, building things that are going to be around when I'm gone, that are going to help people that I love or care about. And so, Memento Mori. Oh, this side right here. Memento Mori. Okay. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I love it, and it's something that I hope that will be in my life forever, and I'll continue trying to understand it better by every single time that I look at it. I'm hoping that continue to understand that better. So thought I would let you guys know about that, and then we'll bring it back a little bit to disc golf. And I wanted to show you guys that I picked up a couple of these fission time lapses This one's like 157, 58 gram. This one's 162 grams. So they're both lightweight, and they're fission time lapses, which a time lapse is 12.5 -1.3, same as a destroyer, but they're fission, which makes them more flippy. And these things are really domey, and super dome compared to, I've got some Neutron ones that are a little bit flatter. And so what I'm wondering is, I'm going to try these out backhand and see if they are my big bomber discs or not. So that should be fun. And I just wanted to let you guys know about the Midlife channel. You know, talk about how things relate a little bit with midlife when it comes to disc golf. Encourage anybody that's a midlife player. You can still continue getting better. And there's a lot of things I look forward to talking about, but I will get into also, I'll tell you guys, I have been working out. I've been using weights, getting back in the weight room for the last 3 months, and working out about 3 days a week. And that's like a balanced kind of a general, you know, like weightlifting style, I guess. That it's almost kind of what's called like a power lifter style, in that I'm mostly focusing on the 3 main lifts, which are squats, deadlifts, and bench press. And the big thing with that is there's lots of different ways to work out, and as you get older, you kind of, or as you learn more, you realize that it's not just whatever you learned in gym class in high school. There's lots of different ways and different goals that you can be going for, different ways, at different amounts of weight. You know, are you going heavy with lower reps, higher reps, lower weight, all types of things? Are you doing more, a little bit for cardio, muscle building, whatever? And so I have been lifting, and I have seen a big change in since I started lifting about 3 months ago. And when you just get started lifting, you have what's called newbie gains, because you haven't been lifting, so these gains are actually pretty quick. And that's the quickest time you'll ever really progress in weightlifting, is when you're early on. So the big thing is doing squats, which have not been my best. You know, my best was basically probably shoulders and arms and chest. But those are the least important. The most important things are your legs, your back, your core, because they're your biggest muscle groups. And when you strengthen them, your overall body strength goes up. And so I think with with disc golf, that makes it so I finally feel like I'm kind of connecting with the ground. I've always felt like I was kind of throwing with my arm a lot, and of course using my hips a bit, but the stronger I get with my legs and my back and my core, the more my body feels like a strong unit as I'm, you know, throwing. I think that's really helped. I've gained some distance recently. And then the other thing is, I did a kind of training session with a local pro, Nick Anderson. You know, if you watch I've got a playing in the wind video on here, and a forehand form video on here that were both Nick Anderson. I did a little session with him where, like a coaching session, and he helped me with my run up, changing something that will really let me kind of build my momentum into the throw better than the footwork I was doing. And I've been working on that throughout the last few months, basically the whole off season so far. And I think that is paying off. Sometimes when you start doing something, you don't see the payoff for a few months when you're doing it in disc golf. And then you start seeing the payoff because of the muscle memory has finally kicked in, and now you're not thinking about it as much, you're just doing it. So the big thing, and I'll kind of just mention that, is when I do my run up, it's a lot more. Part of what's better now is that it's not just like, you know, the speed isn't just fast, same speed all the way through and then throw. I do it more like what I consider a crescendo of speed. You know, you start with your steps and you're slow and working into it until it's fastest at the end. So it's slow, faster, fast. And so that kind of tempo throughout the steps of the X step has really helped me, and I think that's added a lot of power. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of other things here soon. I want to do a series basically on the backhand throw. There are many different parts of backhand throw. I mean, probably 10 different parts at least. And I kind of see it as, when you start playing disc golf, it's like you're like, how do I throw backhand hard? And you think you're gonna look it up and be like footwork and grip and pull back. There's 3 things. No, it's all these different pieces. And once you get a little better at one, maybe that adds 10 or 20 feet to your throw. And then you add another little piece and that adds 10 or 20 feet, and then 10 or 20 feet, this other piece, and then this other piece. And eventually you're at a point where you've added enough little improvements to your form, all these little pieces, that now they go together and now you're throwing 400 or whatever. And so each piece kind of goes together. So there's a lot of pieces that go into the total of the backhand form especially. And I don't always feel like I need to qualify myself, that I'm worth listening to. But you guys do know I am an amateur, but I'm an advanced amateur now. My rating is it's only 905 right now, but I definitely feel like it should be going up quickly soon, because a lot of the non-tournament rounds, the league rounds I've been playing, I've been hitting 940 on the lower end. My putting's really gotten good, and then I'm just recently adding in some more distance. So I'd say I qualify it as I can throw 400 now on command, basically 400 feet on a golf line. And I've recently hit a couple of PRs where I threw 470, and I threw another one that was like 450, 460 about a week later, which was actually just a couple days ago. Another one was a week ago. So repeatable 450-ish. So maybe you can consider that I kind of know what I'm talking about, at least on an advanced amateur level. I can't teach you how to throw like a pro. I can just kind of give you these advices that have worked for me to build up my distance. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope I have some more entertaining visually stuff, but I hope you enjoy this, just talking about disc golf, talking about midlife, talking about stoicism as kind of a practical way to approach life. And what's more practical than remembering that you will die and taking it seriously, so that each day you live towards doing your best, reaching your potential. I'll go into one more thing since I'm here kind of jabbering anyway, is that I believe in reaching towards your potential, but I felt like until recently, I always felt like I just had more time to do that. I think that's what's so great about getting into your 40s, is that you stop thinking you got all the time in the world. You start thinking, well, this older family member passed away at 50, this one passed away at 52, whatever. And you start thinking, well, I don't know how long I got, but maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, and maybe I want to be healthier, and try to live that way so I can get a longer life. But it does put you into perspective, so you can start being more serious about things. And I always thought, in my 20s, my 30s, is like, I feel like I got a lot of potential. I feel like, I've got gifts that I've been given that, I can do certain things. But I really want to kind of say that it's not about the gifts that you were given. It's about what you do with them and how well you utilize them. Because it's not honorable to be given, maybe the most intelligence there is if you don't use it for anything. That's not honorable, and you're not going to be happy, I think, with yourself if you never used, that incredible gift you were given. So I believe that the big thing is trying to reach towards your potential. That's what's important, whatever your potential is. And so for me, I feel like just recently I've turned a corner where I'm not putting my potential on a shelf and saying, yeah, I have that. Someday I'll go after it. I'm finally going after it. I'm finally going after and working towards my potential. And that's physically, that's kind of in my habits, in my routines. Just as an example, I've started like stretching and doing like, YouTube yoga every once in a while, mostly just for the stretches and stuff for the last few months. And I found that I love it, and my mobility is getting better, and everything I thought was such a big deal, like I was bad at squatting because I couldn't get the depth. Well, after like stretching for a month, I can get to the depth. It's not as bad. It's a lot better. So I'm doing that. So I'm getting into my potential. I'm eating better. Habits when it comes to productivity, all this stuff. So I'm finally working towards my potential, I believe. And there's a long way to go, and it's actually really exciting because it's like, now that I'm getting a little further, I'm like, wait, maybe my potential is even more than I thought it was. So in a way, my new goal in life is to push towards my potential, that I'm always going to be pushing towards it. So I really, really find out how much I can do, how good I can be, how much of a difference I can make in other people's lives. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And if you're in midlife, congratulations, because we are in a moment that is really powerful. You still have time to push towards your potential, and you've got enough experience to know the difference, to know what you should do, and hopefully be guided by your experiences. So thank you guys for your time. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Memento Mori.